Welcome to the February 24th, 2025 meeting of the Sandusky City Commission. We'll have an invocation offered by Commissioner Crable, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, we gather this evening in your universe to do, hopefully, your will for our community. Please oversee this meeting, guide us as we consider the items on our agenda, and give us the wisdom to do the very best we can for this community. Amen.
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 I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Myers, you call roll.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Waddington?
Here.
Mr. Brady?
Here.
Mr. Murray?
Here.
Mr. Pajali?
Here.
Mr. Kuntz?
Here.
Mr. Crable?
Here.
Ms. Fargo? Here.
I don't suppose we need a motion to excuse our city manager. We wish him well on his time off.
Right.
Commissioner, do you have before the minutes of our meeting of February 10th, 2025? What's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner
I
Waddington.
move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Same. Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, that motion will be approved, and hearing no objection, that motion is approved. We have the pleasure of swearing in a firefighter this evening.
Yay.
Chief Oliver, will you do the honors, please?
I will, sir. Zachary, you want to come on up? You guys want to come up, take a picture? Ready? Raise your right hand, please. I state your name.
I, Zachary Street,
Recognizing my fundamental duty as a firefighter of the City of Sandusky Fire Department,
recognizing my fundamental duty as a firefighter of the City of Sandusky Fire Department,
do solemnly swear to uphold the standards of my profession by safeguarding the lives and property of our citizens against the threat of fire and disaster.
do solemnly swear to uphold the standards of my profession by safeguarding the lives and property of our citizens against the threat of fire and disaster.
I promise to obey the duly constituted laws of the United States of America, the state of Ohio, the city of Sandusky, and to accept the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, leadership, and trust, to be honored for so long as I remain a firefighter of the City of Sandusky Fire Department.
I promise to obey the duly constituted laws of the United States of America, the state of Ohio, the city of Sandusky, and to accept the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, leadership, and trust, to be honored for as long as I remain a firefighter of the City of Sandusky Fire Department.
I will continually strive to serve our community and to be an influence for good before my fellow officers and firefighters to the best of my ability, so help me.
I will continually strive to serve our community and to be an influence for good before my fellow officers and firefighters to the best of my ability, so help me.
On behalf of the City of Sandusky and the city manager who's not here today, thank you for joining us.
Zachary is originally from Bellevue, but he's currently a Sandusky City resident where he lives with his family. Prior to working for Sandusky Fire Department or being hired by Sandusky Fire Department, he worked part-time for the Margaretta Township Fire Department, where his dad has worked for many years. He has his Firefighter 2 and EMT certification, and he's scheduled to take his paramedic school starting in March.
Very good.
He's going to be on number 1 shift under the direction of Captain Jason Resch. Congratulations, Zach, and welcome to the City of Sandusky.
He's terrified. Oh my God, baby.
Obviously, no one told Zachary that he had to give us a 15-minute speech on. We'll let him off the hook on that. And the rest of you guys can go back to work now. Thanks for being here, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
There goes the crowd.
Congratulations.
School.
Tonight we have a presentation on the Affordable Housing for Seniors Progress Report. That presentation is going to be presented by the Director of Serving Our Seniors, Sue Doherty, and Amy Bauman-Moore from the Funding and Resource Coordinator. Ms. Doherty.
Thank you. Good evening, Commission. I want to take this time to ask that the problem of modest, small, affordable housing remain on your radar as you plan the strategy for the city of Sandusky, and to let you know that Serving Our Seniors has continued to keep it on our radar as well. I'm happy to report to you that we were fortunate to hire Amy Bauman-Moore as our grant writer and she has two goals. The first being to help us obtain resources, whether that be financial or in kind, to support Serving Our Seniors being a catalyst to spur the development of small, modest, affordable housing for retirees. And she also is working on another project called Serving Our Seniors Fund for the Future. Amy has been instrumental so far in helping us develop awareness on our efforts to create and be a catalyst for the development of affordable housing. She's working with the sole proprietor, a builder of one, whom we are working with, and he does want to build small, modest, affordable housing. And he also wants to be the landlord to rent it out. Serving Our Seniors is looking at what role we have to play other than opening the doors for communities who are opposed to small housing, which is why I'm here to ask again that you keep that a priority in looking at what you can do with your land bank property to make it available to those builders who want to build small. So part of the plight of a small builder is figuring out how can I buy down my costs so I can afford to build something that I can rent at an affordable rate. And the more we talk, the more it looks like it's not going to be $650 a month, probably closer to $700. And Serving Our Seniors is trying to figure out the role we can play to drive down that cost. So as you work and lead our community and you see opportunities of what the city of Sandusky might be able to contribute to making this process successful, I don't need to tell you that you have a dynamic community development department and a chief planner and director. They've been a real pleasure to work with and always available whenever we have called to ask for their input and their knowledge. So I want to thank you and your staff for that. But I don't want, oftentimes when issues do not get brought to the attention of leaders and communities, they can tend to fall off the radar and assume that it's not the problem that it once was before. And so really the main purpose is for me to be here this evening to let you know that it's still a very big problem. It's still in need of your leadership. And also I would like to make you aware that on April 23rd, Serving Our Seniors is holding what we're calling a listening session. And we are reaching out to builders, small builders, builders that are in business to build an addition or a garage, but maybe not a developer of homes. Those are the individuals we hope we can talk with, and we would like to hear from them. What do communities need to do so that they can make their niche the construction of small, modest homes or duplexes? So if any of you would have the time and the interest to attend that listening session, we would welcome your presence and participation in listening what local builders are saying they would need if it's going to work for them. So that concludes my report, but I just want to make you aware that we're still working on it, not as quickly as I had hoped, but we are getting traction and we are making progress. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Doherty. Questions or comments, Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman, I know recently or within the last year, you went up in the Michigan area to look at tiny homes.
Yes.
Is that still on the radar as a possibility, or for people that may fall in between what's affordable?
I would say it is a possibility. It's not something that we've been pursuing, but I like the business model. And so that business model is, there was a nonprofit that purchased blighted property, and she has developed relationships with construction businesses. And when they have leftover material, they donate it to that nonprofit. And they use whatever material they have, that's the size the house will be. So they've had material donated that allowed them to construct a home that's 250 square feet, and they've had material that allowed them to construct a home that's 450 square feet. So I think it's working for them, and it works well for people who have been homeless for a long time. Just to point out the value that this neighborhood has created, she did share that she went on Zillow to see what the value of the home was for that homeless individual. And at that time, that home was valued at $85,000. So now this person has equity that they can sell, and if they wanted to move, it looks like they probably could. So thank you for asking that question.
Additional questions or comments, Commissioner? Commissioner Crable.
On the 23rd, what time of day?
Thank you.
Where?
It'll be 4 p.m. across the street at the Erie County Office Building on the 3rd floor.
Mr. Doherty, I spend a considerable amount of my time taking the temperature of my fellow commissioners on a variety of issues. I think I can honestly share with you, and I think my commissioners will agree, that you are preaching to the choir here today, because there are very few things that we unanimously agree on. Affordable housing for seniors, and affordable housing, period, is certainly one of them.
Yeah.
That's been a catalyst for Commissioner Kuntz and for a variety of us at a variety of different times. So I would encourage you to continue to reach out to Ms. Gilson's department. I know that they have been very supportive of you in the past, and we are certain they'll be supportive of this issue in the future.
Thank you. And I must say, of all the communities that we've talked to, and we are making the rounds, the city of Sandusky is the most progressive in addressing this problem. So thank you.
Thank you for being here, too.
And ladies and gentlemen, if it's okay, I don't stand very well. I've got about a minute long. So.
Right there is good enough.
Thank you. I'm Amy Bowman-Moore. I do have the task of doing the affordable housing little project. I do have a builder that's very interested in Sandusky. We are working through making a preliminary house, a prototype house. He's exploring the legalities. He and us together are exploring the legalities. It'll be a duplex, 700 feet each side, so it's a 1,400-foot building. I don't want you to get in your head a 250 square foot garden shed. It's really a larger building. The thing that is different between our constituents and the ones that Welcome Home, Ohio, these will not be owner occupied. These will be 60 years and older renters. The rent will be controlled. The way that will happen is serving our seniors, if we can find something to help subsidize this builder with, and he'll become a nonprofit and have a management company manage these properties. We will subsidize that and then have it run over, be amortized over 5, 10, or 15 years. So that's our pool in the game here. So if you have any questions, I am moving forward. I do hope to have a prototype house built. He'd love to build on a land lot in Sandusky. He's from Sandusky? I'm sorry, he's from Bellevue, I believe. I think he went to Sandusky High School. But I am moving along. We're getting there. But I just wanted to let you know, with the rent rate here is 0.4% in Erie County. A healthy county should have 4 to 6% rent per space, and there's just not. So again, our constituents are renters. People want to They're empty nesters, they want to sell their houses, get the equity out of their house, and that's what they plan on fighting inflation with in the late stages of their life, and there's nowhere to go. And we don't want them to leave. So, I'm sorry.
And you're working out of the Serving Our Seniors, you have an office there? Or how can we reach you?
I work out of my dining room.
Okay,
But I do have a Serving Our Seniors phone number.
okay.
And-
So you can be reached through Serving Our Seniors?
Yes.
That's all,
Yes. I was
that's what the
gonna say,
public needs to know.
Don't physically look for me.
Yep, okay,
But yeah, a lot of you guys know how to get a hold of me.
great, great.
That's the bad signal off on the line.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks. Any residents with comments regarding tonight's agenda, please step to the podium and share with us your thoughts and name and address and your agenda comments. I'd ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less.
Where do I speak there?
Yeah, the podium. If you just give us your name and address, we're not trying to pry on you,
I can
but
talk loud enough.
give us a way to get back to you if we need to.
Barbara Sicklese, I live at 203 West Water Street here in Sandusky. All of my comments are about snow. Jackson Street Pier is probably the best feature of the city. But 10 days ago, when we had that snowstorm, it was not cleared. There was still ice on it this morning. I think the pier and the pathway really need to be cleared.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but if I don't, I will break one of my rules, and that is that this portion of the meeting is meant for agenda, comments on our agenda.
Oh, I'm
Is there some way you
sorry.
can tie that to our agenda?
So I should wait until the
Yeah,
end?
we have that section,
have another
unfortunately,
section
at the end of the meeting.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
but you got a
sorry.
good start, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Any agenda item comments from the public? Commissioners, you have before you several communications from staff recommending various pieces of legislation. Can I have a motion to accept those communications?
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Hearing no objection, the motion approved, and hearing no objection, that motion is approved. Commissioners, we have 17 items on the consent agenda this evening. Do any of you wish to move any of those items to the regular agenda? Ms. Myers, would you start reading the consent agenda?
Yes, Mr. President. Item A, Trex liquor license for Greenfield Village Incorporated. Item B, approval of professional service fee to Delano Law for contract negotiations with fire union. Item C, approval of Ohio grant application for EMS equipment. Item D, approval of MOU for transfer of 3 parcels into the land bank from Erie County. Item E, permission to bid 2025 demolition project number 1. Item F, approval for water service infrastructure purchases from Core and Main LP. Item G, approval to accept and dedicate right-of-way skyway for the landing. Item H, approval of agreement for inspection services on East Perkins resurfacing project with OHM Advisors.
Commissioners, having heard this liquor license hearing, ordinances and resolution, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Murray.
I move for the approval of the motion, or I make the motion for approval of the transfer of the liquor license and for the approval of the ordinances and resolutions pursuant to Section 14 of our city's charter.
Second.
There have been a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, will you poll the commission on that motion, please?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Waddington? Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Kuntz?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
And now on the liquor license hearing, ordinances and resolution.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Kuntz?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
That liquor license, ordinances and resolutions are passed. Ms. Myers, you present item number 1 to the regular agenda.
It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into a contract with Great Lakes Demolition Company, LLC of Clyde, Ohio, for the Venice Road Relief Storm Sewer Project, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Waddington.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance under suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Mr. Myers, you poll the commission on the motion, please.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Waddington? Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. Mr. Myers, you present item number 2, please.
It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into a contract with Precision Paving Incorporated of Milan, Ohio for the 2025 Camp Street Resurfacing and Reconstruction Project and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Coons.
move for adoption of this ordinance under item 2 in full accordance with section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Mr. Myers, you poll the commission on the motion, please.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable? Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. Mr. Myers, you present item number 3, please.
Requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into a contract with Speer Brothers Incorporated of Sandusky, Ohio for the West Monroe Street Resurfacing Project, EID number 113957, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Murray.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance pursuant to section 14 of the city's charter.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second discussion.
Chairman,
Mr. Murray.
I would ask if Mr. Klein or Mr. Snyder could just, I know everyone here knows the advantages of building all of these storm sewers. I could have asked this question with respect to item number 1, too, but thought it might just take a moment to remind the public or advise the public why these storm sewers are so important to the capacity of our sewer treatment plant, to the overall water quality of the area, and why this, in the long run, saves all of us money.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take a first stab at it, and if there's anything project-related, I'll defer to Josh, who's here for this project in particular. We have a portion of the city, a large portion of the city, about 60% of it is a combined sewer system. That means that we have stormwater and sanitary water going into the same piping system in the ground and carrying that flow normally to the wastewater treatment plant, meaning in those situations where the flow is low enough, we're actually treating that wastewater at the wastewater treatment plant. So doing projects like the Venice Road project, like the West Monroe Street project, and several of the other projects we've done over the last several years, it actually diverts that stormwater flow back to the streams. So it's not going to the wastewater plant. We're not spending the money on chemicals and electricity for the pumping and everything else. It's also environmentally not, it's reducing the amount of overflows we have directly to Sandusky Bay. So there's a plethora of problems, and one of the big things that I think we're also trying to make sure that we do is reduce the basement backups as much as we can within these areas. So there's 3, 4, 5 different layers to these projects, and we're also moving forward with other storm sewer projects as we go forward. So we'll be presenting those throughout the year, and they'll be listed in the capital plan.
Thank you.
Additional comments or questions, Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Pajali.
I had a question not relative to this project, but did I see in the Ohio Municipal League literature that the OPWC, Ohio Public Works money, has to be voted on again? Every 5 or 10 years, it has to be voted on, statutory requirement for it to keep going?
I did see that in there, and my understanding, I don't know if it is to be voted on or if it already was voted on and passed and approved. I can't recall exactly where that was, but yes, every few years it has to get approved.
Yeah. I was going to say I know it's not always a large chunk of money, but it helps fill in the gaps on a lot of different projects. And if it's going to be voted on, maybe we ought to do something to get behind it.
Yeah, and I will say too that historically in the community that we're in and in the region that we're in within Ohio Public Works, that money has been largely geared towards street resurfacing, street reconstruction type projects. But in the last 3, 4, 5 years, it's really started to change over where it's almost split evenly between the utility type projects and the resurfacing type projects. So we'll be looking at it from multiple avenues moving forward. So it's definitely something that we want to ensure that we're supporting if it does come up for a vote.
Additional comments or questions, Commissioner Kramer?
Mr. Klein, you indicated about 60% of the city has combined sanitary and storm. Once we get done with these, not just what's in front of us today, but with your plans, upcoming projects, that sort of thing, what do you think we might get ourselves down to if we're not 60%? So I think that's a very difficult question to answer because, and I'll take the Monroe Street project as an example. We're installing this storm sewer for the entire length of Monroe within the project limits, which is Camp Street and really all the way over to the creek past Broadway. As part of this project, what we're doing is we're disconnecting all of the catch basins in the road. So anything that falls within the road, anything that sheet flows over the property into the road is going into those catch basins and going into a storm sewer. There's also houses whose sump pumps and foundation drains and those types of things that also go into that combined sewer. So to make that a completely disconnected combination sewer and a separated storm and a separated sanitary, we'd also have to have every property owner along that entire run disconnect from it as well. So that section, even though we're doing this, where we're taking a lot of the flow off of that combined sewer, opening up capacity so that those foundation drains and things can get into the combined sewer, and we're not treating all of that water, that section would still be technically by EPA considered combined system in that area. That being said, the way that the EPA looks at it is more based on the volume of flow that you're reducing. And we've already achieved well over 90% since the installation of these projects in the early 2000s as they were moving forward with the initial expansion projects and sewer separation and all of the other projects they were doing. We've achieved well over 90%. We're still going to be evaluating as the Mills High Rate Treatment Project comes online. We're expecting to be in the 94, 95, 96% range of reduction in overflow volume, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's where we are with the number of overflows. So whether it's 1 drop or 1 million drops, that's considered 1, and the EPA wants us to be down to 4. So we're really gearing all these programs around a multitude of things with those basement backups, the environmental, the cost to treat the water, and the hope is that when we go back and start negotiating with EPA, the original time when we were looking at 0 overflows and almost a complete sewer separation, it was in the hundreds of millions of dollars to do the project to get down to 0, and that still wasn't complete separation of the sewer system. So we would probably be talking 500 million or something in that range to completely change out the sewer system and get into everybody's house and change their drainage to complete separation. I think we were in the 250 to 300 just to get down to 0 overflows, and that was still sending some of those combined sewers to the wastewater plant. Mr. Chair, if I may, I thought that there was a rule, for lack of a better term, that private property owners were to disconnect their downspouts from the sewer system. In other words, they were to be putting the water out onto their own property, into their lawns or planting beds or what have you. Did I miss that somehow? I mean, the projects I do, I disconnect them all. So, but,
So we don't have an ordinance or a rule that requires it. We encourage it every chance we can get to have property owners, when it's new construction or reconstruction or anything like that, we encourage property owners to do that throughout the city. But we don't have an ordinance that requires that from happening, and there's nothing on the state law that requires it either that I'm aware of.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Murray.
If I may just pursue that a moment, I thought that was largely a grandfathered situation. So if it was a pre-existing, they could tap into the sanitary sewer. But if it's new construction or significant remodel, that is going to have to go, that can't be put in the sanitary sewer. Is that correct?
Yes, when we're working with property owners now, if there's a separated storm and sanitary on the property, we allow them to tie into the storm. If it's new construction or substantial reconstruction, we do not allow that to tie into the combined system. If that's all that's there, we have them discharge that to the surface.
And is it safe to say, I mean, I realize, well, it's safe to say that your approach to this, your department's approach to this has been somewhat opportunistic in the sense that, I mean that in a good way, in the sense that as you realize there's going to be a road that's going to be resurfaced in 5, 7, 10 years, you begin to evaluate whether it's cost effective. What is the cost going to be to put a storm sewer in, and what are the savings that we're going to achieve in terms of sewer plant capacity or treatment expenses? And that's the way you've been approaching this, because that's what I've understood you to say over the years.
Yes, and one thing to piggyback on that is several years ago, I think it was 16 or 17, we did a green infrastructure plan. And through that plan, where there might be private development, you might recall we teamed with the Sandusky City Schools when they were doing their stormwater retention out in front. We paid to expand their detention system and then make sure that it was discharged into the separate storm system rather than the combined, which it was before. So we took existing infrastructure, existing parking lot that was in the back and paid for them to divert the flow and expand that system so that that would no longer be sent to the wastewater plant. What we do in those situations is we look at the cost-benefit analysis, make sure that we're saving enough money at the wastewater plant and not spending more than that amount by paying for them to do this work. So if there are large private developments that we can redirect flow from the storm or from the combined sewer system, we will certainly look and see if there's a benefit to the residents to get involved in that project too.
The reality, Mr. Klein, is that eliminating our combined sewer and storm sewer system are hundreds of millions of dollars away and probably hundreds of years away.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. A curse of an older city. Ms. Myers, will you poll the commission on the motion, please?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Vargo?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Vargo? Yes.
That ordinance is passed. I believe we need to drop back for a moment and move back to the consent agenda items. I have just been advised that we have missed items I, J, K, and L, and I think that perhaps is because I jumped in and asked for a motion before Ms. Myers had a chance to read those last four. So if I could ask you, Ms. Myers, to go back to the consent agenda and present items I, J, K, and L.
Approval of PDS for Lions Park Shoreline Protection with Smith Group. Item J, approval of MOA for construction site runoff control with Erie Soil and Water Conservation. Item K, permission to award contract for Mills Creek Golf Course Trail Project to Jagger. Item L, permission to award Shade Mylander Plaza electrical and lighting replacement to Fresh.
Having heard these ordinances, Commissioners, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Murray.
I move to save your bacon by approving items I, J, K, and L, and the ordinances contained there within pursuant to Section 14 of the city's charter.
Second.
At a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, will you poll the commission on those ordinances, please?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Those ordinances are passed, and Mr. Murray, I am deeply indebted to you. Ms. Myers, you present item number 4 of the regular agenda.
It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing a cooperative agreement between the City of Sandusky and the Ohio Water Development Authority to finance the cost of construction for the storm sewer and sanitary portion for the West Monroe Street resurfacing project, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
I
Watt.
move for the adoption of this ordinance under suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, will you poll the commission on that motion?
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. Ms. Myers, you present item number 5, please.
It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to expend funds for the purchase and installation of playground equipment and amenities from GameTime DWA Recreation Incorporated of Harrison, Ohio, through the Omnia Partners Purchasing Program for playground equipment at Schaeffer Park, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Fargo.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance under suspension of the rules in full accordance of Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, you poll the commission on that motion.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Now on the ordinance.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. Ms. Myers, you present item number 6, please.
It is requested a resolution be passed declaring the necessity for the city to proceed with the proposed demolition of 1528 Columbus Avenue project, approving the specifications and engineer's estimate of cost thereof, directing the city manager to advertise for and receive bids in relation thereto, and declaring this resolution shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this resolution, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Coons.
move for adoption of this resolution under item 6 in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Fargo.
I said to Mr. Brady here that this has been a long time coming, and I know that everyone worked really hard to get this done, and so thank you, and I know that the neighborhood and all the residents there are going to be so happy, so it's unfortunate that we have to do something like that, but it is going to be for the betterment of our community, so thank you very much for all your hard work.
Additional comments or questions?
It has been a long haul.
Mr. Crable.
Oh, I'm sorry. It has been a very long haul, and I know that there was a lot of litigation that surrounded it, but I'm glad that everyone stuck with it, and we're going to get this eyesore and challenge removed from that neighborhood.
Ms. Myers, you poll the commission on that motion, please.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
And now on the resolution.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
That resolution is passed. That concludes our regular agenda. We'll turn to our acting city manager for his part.
Acting. On behalf of the city manager, here's his report for this evening. The police department received a donation from Maintenance Systems of Northern Ohio. They donated 3 wrestling floor mats to our department at a cost of approximately $2,000 so we could use them for training. So I look for a motion to accept that donation.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, motion be approved. Hearing no objection, that motion is approved with our thanks.
And Public Works, with the weather warming up last week, the contractor working on East Perkins Ave was able to test a new water lining, can now begin wrapping up that project. The next major phase on Columbus Avenue will be the placement of concrete, which needs to happen during a longer period of warmer weather in order for it to cure properly. There may be a few minor items that will be completed over the next several weeks before the concrete contractor is back from winter layoff. I will add there was an update to that later this afternoon, and I think you're going to see some work starting up here before the end of the week with the weather warming up. Community development, we will be soliciting for CDBG projects for our public service allocation starting February 25th. Applications will be available on the website at www.cityofsandusky.com/CDBG. And that's the report.
Questions or comments for our acting city manager? I assured him that you'd have none, so now's the time to pile on if you want. Items of old business. Any items of old business, Commissioners? Items of new business. I have some housekeeping items under new business. I would ask for a motion to appoint John Felter to our Landmark Commission. I believe I have circulated his application to each of you within the last 2 weeks, and I'd ask for a motion to appoint him to our Landmark Commission.
So moved.
Second.
And a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, will you poll the commission on the motion to approve John Felter?
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Mr. Felter is approved. I will also ask for a motion to set a public hearing for the fiscal year 2025 action plan for CDBG at the March the 10th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, you poll the commission on that motion, please.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
That public hearing is set. And my last item under new business is to appoint our charter review committee members. And our charter is very specific that each commissioner has 2 appointments. And we're going to do this through each commissioner's 2 appointments, a motion at a time. So I will ask Commissioner Crable to make a motion to appoint his 2 selections.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I move the appointment to the Charter Review Commission of Elizabeth Semler and Tom Schraw.
May I have a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, you poll the commission on that motion.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
That motion is passed and they are appointed. Mr. Coons, would you provide us with your selections?
Yes, I would like to move the 2 individuals, Mr. Bill Hill and Mr. Tim Schwanger, serve on the Charter Review Committee.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, you poll the commission on that motion.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
Those 2 selections are approved. Mr. Murray, would you provide us with your selections?
Move to appoint Abby Bemis and Luveta Wilson.
Second. Been a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, will you poll the commission on that motion?
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
That motion is passed and those folks are approved. I intend to make a motion to appoint Adriana Guerra and Mark Pfeiffer to the Charter Review Committee.
Second.
A motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, you poll the commission on that motion, please.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
That motion is passed. Ms. Fargo, will you share with us your appointments?
Yes. I move to appoint Mary Ann Baxter and Diane Corso to the Charter Review Committee.
Second.
And a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, will you poll the commission on that motion?
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
That motion is passed. Mr. Bajali, will you share with us your appointments?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to appoint David Miller and Jennifer Torres to the Charter Review.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Discussion. Ms. Myers, will you poll the commission on that motion?
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
That motion is passed. Mr. Waddington, will you share with us your appointments?
I make a motion to appoint Jennifer Ashburn and Mike Zuloff to the Charter Review Committee.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Discussion. Ms. Myers, will you poll the commission on that motion?
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo?
Yes.
That motion is passed, and our Charter Review Committee selections of 14 are set. I believe that their organizational meeting will be held on Wednesday, March the 5th, at 5 p.m. in this chamber. And Ms. Myers, you'll communicate to each of those
Yes, I will.
appointees? Excellent, thank you. Additional items of new business, Commissioners.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Coons.
I just wanted to thank you for actually stepping up. I was initially going to attend the 4th Annual Black Business Pioneer event, but school district called me for duty, so they really appreciated you being there and actually let me know. So appreciate you being there for that event.
The pleasure was certainly mine. That was held at a venue here, what's it called, 641 venue, I think, on Columbus Avenue. Wonderful venue, and even at my old age, there are still ways to make new friends. And I felt that I made new friends that evening, along with having the pleasure to support the two award winners, and of course Benita Lofties, who was also honored as the queen maker of Hancock Street, I will say. Thank you for that opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
Additional items of new business. If not, we will move to any items concerning the city of Sandusky from the public. The podium is yours. I think we have your name and address.
Thank you.
And we do agree that Jackson Street Pier is one of our finest amenities.
What's odd is when we had a 1-inch snow, we've had several of those this winter, it would all be cleared. But this snow, I think it was about 4 inches. It just seems to me if, for the quality of life of the residents and the people who exercise there and walk their dogs, it's really important to have the pier cleared, at least a pathway, and the path. It doesn't have to be all the width of the path, but at least where you can walk.
Sure.
Because it's, as we all know, it's been really icy this winter. And so that would help. A second thing is, my sister suggested where people park diagonally, especially on my block on Water Street, where Karma is and Tony's, and so, because the State Theater, we get very little sun there. And it's finally starting to melt today. Is it possible, after a big snow, to close off the street after 9 o'clock in the morning, because most people that park there live along there and they go to work? Is it possible to have that plowed? Because it was just really difficult this week, because I park at the State Theater lot to get my cart and my groceries to my apartment, because there's no way I was going to park diagonally in front of my apartment building because of all the ice. So I don't know if that's possible, but it seems like we have it on Columbus Ave. Of course, that's going to change with the street improvement, but especially Water Street, where, you know, people come and go. And we have a lot of senior citizens living on that block.
And to be clear, you're talking about perhaps parking, having the cars removed and parking in the area where the car, that would...
Because they're, like, in the morning, after 9 o'clock, there's very few cars parked there.
Yeah.
And most of the businesses don't start up until noontime or so, like Tony's.
I don't mean to speak for the street department. The point of your making that suggestion is our people will look at that idea, but logistically, boy, I see that as.
Well, I
see that
didn't
as a
know.
nightmare.
I thought I'd ask.
Yeah,
You
thanks
know.
for asking.
A third thing is the cuts for the handicapped, where the
Yes.
beaded cuts are.
Handicap accessibility.
They
ramp.
need to be shoveled out after a snowstorm. I don't know if we don't have enough staff, but they really need to be shoveled out because they just get so icy. You can't, it was hard to walk around town to just get somewhere, to get to my car. And if you could remind the vendors who are not open all the time, like the wine store and the candy store, to clear their walks when it snows. I've said this before, and it's just difficult. My landlord is very good about clearing in front of our building, but
Sure.
They need to be cleared, that's all.
Thank you. Thanks
Thank
for your
you.
comments, and thanks for waiting.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Nick Etzeris. I'm with Ohio Edison. I know I'm your contact for the city of Sandusky from Ohio Edison. I know most of you here, so just wanted to make sure the folks that don't know who I am, make sure that you know that I'm your contact for anything First Energy related within the city. I work very closely with a lot of the other departments on a pretty much daily basis, but wanted to make sure you all knew who I was if you didn't, and make sure to reach out to me anytime if you need anything. So I'm going to leave behind some of my cards just so that you can contact me if you need anything in the future. So while I'm here, is there anything, street lights or anything else that needs to be brought to my attention?
Having left your card several times in the past, I know you've heard from me several times.
Oh yes, definitely, and please keep doing
Usually
that.
in the middle of a storm.
That's when my job is the most important. So yeah, please do not be a stranger. Feel free to reach out if you need me. So
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
yeah, thanks so much.
Additional comments on any items pertaining to city business? Mr. Lamarck, are you hiding back there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm comfortable, thank you.
In that case, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.